I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Dr. Bones, listening to Dr. Bones.
Good evening, this is Dr. Bones Live, and tonight my guest is returning for a second time to the show. Welcome back, Peter Cline. All right, we're good. Okay, and we're back. Sorry about that little blurb. So we'll get back to it. Like I was saying, Peter, you've been very busy, and your song has been taking like a lot of different turns. I've noticed like so much different stuff over the past like 2 or 3 months. So in this creation process, is it just because you're like listening to new things, or just kind of discovering sounds you haven't thought of before, or decide to use now instead of earlier? Or?
Well, I've listened to tons of stuff over the years, and every now and then, I'll sit in a certain mood, and certain types of influences will rise to the surface. You mentioned the Drive EP, and I hadn't really thought about what the influences on it might be. There were some songs that I worked on over a period of about 18 months and then put aside for a while. And a friend on Twitter said, this is so Kraftwerkian but glitchy. And I went back and listened to it, and I was like, sure enough, there's Kraftwerk in there. It's a little denser and stuff. But then there's also, I hear Roxy Music spreading through it and other things like that. Well, sometimes I don't know why I've done what I've done.
Well, it keeps things interesting because, like I was saying, I've noticed a lot of different like changes here and there, especially in your latest one that we played last Saturday, "Let's Dismantle War."
Yeah. Oh, did you play that last Saturday? I didn't know that you did. Thank you for playing that.
Yeah, no problem. This one was a little bit more critical. I mean, it was a good tune, but just in general, it seemed you had a lot more going on than you normally do, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I was just listening. It was like some instances I was trying to follow it, and like I didn't necessarily get a little lost, but I was like trying to follow the pattern where you're going with it. I mean, it kind of took one of those things. It's a good song, but it kind of took a few listens to kind of get used to it.
Yeah, it's funny because that's actually, I consider that a pretty mainstream kind of song for me. It started off as kind of a mixture of IDM and old school disco, and I was just kind of like looking at all the stuff in the newspapers and just thinking like, people make all these bad choices about the stuff they do, and so that's where the couplet "Let's dismantle war, get out on the dance floor" comes from. It kind of harks back to the old Heaven 17 song way back in the 80s of fascist groove thing of why let's not do this shit, let's just dance.
No,
and musically it's kind of interesting. It's got a straightforward to the floor kind of beat going on with a lot of drum fills and stuff happening in it, and but there's basically a strong chord progression just coming in on bell keyboards with lots of stuff going on around it.
Well, the disco I did notice. That's one thing I did pick up, and I tell you, Peter, it's cool because I love your vocals for this one in particular. I mean, your vocals kind of vary from song to song, but this one you just almost had that kind of like perfect kind of lower 80s voice kind of nailed right on the head.
Yeah, and it's funny because that vocal is one that I'm not, it's funny, you do something, you go, I'm not sure I like that too much, and then you come back to it later and you say, okay, and that vocal is not much beyond scratch track kind of vocal, and as I worked on the track, I go back and listen and say, well, what would I do differently with that vocal line, and I really couldn't think of too much except we had some backing vocals into it, but I just thought, I'm just going to leave it. There's enough stuff going on in it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like that was for me. Even though that you think it's mainstream for you, this time around, I don't know if because I had listened to you in a few weeks, but it seemed like there's a lot going on, and so it took me like a couple of tries to kind of find out what I was looking for, like musically, that is. So the way it's like all arranged, that sort of thing. So once I listened to it a few more times, okay, and I was like, now I kind of get where this is going, because at first, like I said, I'm used to a lot of different like changes like all at once, because wouldn't say a lot of music, but there's music a lot of, well, I have to say a lot because I'm kind of generalizing here, but going that way. And one band that's notorious for it, but it worked really well. It's like it's like they're ADD and you can't make up their mind, and it's the Mars Volta.
Yeah.
So, but I enjoy that sort of thing, it makes it interesting.
An older band that kind of used to nip us a little bit, which probably not too many people have heard anymore, Fat Gadget, where there was this kind of like, let's throw everything to the mix and, pull things out and push things back up. That's a little bit what Let's Dismantle War is like. I think it's also sonically fun to listen to. You put on your headphones and listen to the stereo bounce going on and stuff, and pieces rise up that you're not expecting to come in, and it's kind of fun.
Well, I mean, I can totally agree with that. I mean, it's like that's why you're doing this. It's not just because you want to make music because you're enjoying it, because you're having fun with it too. And it's like I said before, it's interesting because of the different changes you come up with. And I mean, you as well as a lot of ambient / electronic artists had kind of opened my eyes and my ears a little bit, because before, I used to think, well, you can only go so far with this stuff. I mean, there doesn't seem like there's too much room to grow, but obviously I've been proven wrong over and over again. So it gives me a bigger appreciation for it. So I'm more willing to like give it a try, and that's what I did, and it was essentially starting with you, to be honest.
Okay, well, thank you.
So I
I've
mean,
been a pioneer for someone.
Yeah, it's made a huge difference because you're the first ambient artist I'd interviewed ever. So it was one of those things. It was exciting for me because it was something brand new that I'd never done before, and we'll always willing to try something different and kind of go for it. Whether it flops or does well, it doesn't matter. No, at least I gave it a shot. So, and I did, and I was just very appreciative of it. Like, actually, we sat down and listened to it. It's like, this is a lot more complex than I ever thought it would be.
Yeah, it's ambient's one of these terms with respect that's really overused. If I had to describe myself, I don't know how far up the list ambient would make it for me. Electronic, certainly. Maybe it's because it's what I happen to be attracted to, and I was a decent guitarist at one time. It's been years since I picked one up, and you can do lots of things with conventional instruments, but I don't know. When you start dealing in electronics, and I prefer hardware, not software, though the distinction kind of blurs, you can really get some interesting things going on, but you still have to have what any good song or piece of music has, which is, an idea, structure, and something that's, worthwhile listening to and thinking about. So labels aren't that important to me, I guess, is the honest answer.
No, well, fair enough. It's one of those things. I remember we talked about this the first time, so it's still kind of, in a sense, as someone at loss without generalizing, how to somewhat put at least, obviously for lack of better words, a label, but without kind of directly doing it. You know what I mean? Like, so we'll keep it. They'll keep it the way you like it. So we won't really give you a label there. But yeah, just one of those things that a lot of times when we talk about this music, I find it hard to come up with something, even if it says it on their on their bio or what have you. It'll say ambient electronic and like 4 of their different things. And
yeah, I mean labels are convenient. I mean, we like to put things in buckets. It gives us a place to start. But I think personally, the kind of music that I like to listen to and the kind of music I like to make kind of falls out of those buckets pretty fast. And you'll say to me, well, for instance, well, here's this band, they're a guitar band. And my first reaction is kind of something like that. But then I listened. I was talking to you before we went on the air about a band from up around your way in Canada, July Talk, and they would definitely be described as a guitar band and maybe even post punk. But you listen to them and you think, oh, what do those labels mean exactly? They don't mean a whole lot when you start listening to music because they're July Talk and they sound like themselves. Or there's a lady from Manchester I found a few months ago, goes by the name of Lone Lady, and she does this guitar music kind of like Anna Calvi does when you say, oh, a female guitarist.
Right.
But you listen to the music and you're like, oh, wait a minute, this
Right
He
on.
has a fantastic songwriting, really interesting approach. But the truth of the matter is, you can be an electronic musician or you can be a musician who has, two guitars, a bass, and drums. And you can either do really exciting things or you can do stuff that's just, repeating everything that's been done.
Right.
So the labels are great to kind of give you a sense of stuff, but I think too many people will say, oh, well, it's this, so I'm not interested in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't necessarily go by labels, but there's so many now. It's hard to keep up with them all. I mean, there's so many. We'll say sub labels. Geek rock, math rock, alternative rock, classic rock. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, holy crap! It's like,
Well, it comes down to marketing when you get right down to it, and like SoundCloud has started doing. They always want you to label your songs,
right.
and now they label them with a hashtag.
Oh boy.
And so whatever the first thing you put up there gets the hashtag, and so that's what you are. And so, like my friend, English musician Elliot Fields, will put hashtag something really silly. Which, of course, actually, unfortunately for him, he's a fantastic musician. Probably means a lot of people never listen to his stuff.
Well, he's actually I've played him on this show quite a few times.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic, and we actually have a collaboration going. We're working on a song together along with Huge Shark, which is her Twitter handle. I don't know her real name. Who is runs a poetry magazine called Grasslimb, and she's a really interesting vocalist. And so I've done the basic percussion and chord progression, and Elliot's getting ready to lay in guitar and bass and stuff, and then Huge Shark will write lyrics and do it on. And in fact, I want us to do an album together if this song works well.
That sounds like it'd be really cool. Actually, I'm really looking forward to hearing that one.
Yeah. No, it's fun.
Because I don't know Huge Shark, but I know Elliot Fields. Like I said, I've played him quite a few times on the show. He's given me about 3 songs, and I've liked every single one of them. So I'm very very intrigued to see how this is going to turn out.
He's also a very gifted visual artist too, and if you follow him on Twitter every now and then, he'll put up something he's done, and plus a very nice human being too, which I'm sure you figured out if you've ever talked to him.
Very briefly on Twitter, but you're right. I did notice some of his creations just to come think of it, because I do follow him on Twitter as well. I don't always look at everything. Sometimes kind of skim through, and so I'll admit. I try to get to everything that I want to get to, but I don't always. A lot of times I don't have a lot of time, so you take that kind of quick skim through, see if there's anything interesting, then kind of be done with it for a few minutes.
Yeah. Twitter is meant to be skimmed. It's like I can't imagine actually like feeding in the full Twitter stream for an hour or something. It'd be like, I don't know.
Well, right.
At least it's better than Facebook. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too. The one thing it's a good way to promote everybody. Follow Friday and Rock Monday, that sort of thing. I mean, it's all rolling